History tells us that we've been fishing here in our streams and oceans for thousands of years. But over the last century and a half, more of us with better tools and improved technology are putting a strain on California that we all love. Today, with 38 million Californians, treating our resources wisely is an incredible challenge. Hi, I'm Tom Raftican and welcome to Real World Conservation. The concept behind Real World is simple. We hope to explore solutions to resource challenges that balance our sustainable use of resources while still ensuring a vibrant future for our kids. We'll not only look at fish, but habitat including our oceans, reefs, estuaries, and streams. And in addition to checking out these ecosystems, we'll chat with fishermen and other experts to shed some light on practical solutions that work today and yet serve us well into the future. Join us as we check out some great fishing and real-world conservation. Howdy, welcome to Real World Conservation. Tom Raftican here. Got a great show for you. We've got a guest on this time that has been with us before, but we're going to probably touch on a few different things and then come back. You know, we've had some crazy weather lately, and that crazy weather has happened to fall on the weekends that the high school fishing tournament was set up for. And the rug kind of got pulled out from under it. I mean, twice. It's been crazy weather, and boy, Santa Barbara this year, we know about crazy weather. But anyhow, we've got Ben Miller here. Ben, welcome back to Real World Conservation.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me
It's
be
really
here.
good to have you back, and you know, we'll talk a little bit about that high school fishing tournament, and maybe a little bit about the weather.
Sure.
Although it looks like we've got a window coming up.
Yeah.
But your day job is you run hook, line, and sinker tackle.
Correct. Yep.
When I got in here today, I was talking to JP, one of the honchos here, and JP goes, well, that's been around for a long time. How long has that been here?
So it's 47 years in the location it's in now. And some of the history I've been able to discern since taking over ownership. Prior to that, it was Fisherman's Emporium, down where Modoc and Hollister come together. It was there for about 18 months, 19 months. Then the two owners got smart and realized that the road to Kachuma was
over the hills
superior.
Right there,
so they moved it to its current location, and it hasn't moved since.
You know, I can never, well, obviously can't remember it not being there. It's just, awesome. Hey, tell me, what do you specialize in there?
So Mr. Shen owned it when I moved to Santa Barbara. And when Mr. Shen owned it, I don't know if it was his stated goal, but my stated goal is to cover everything you need for Kachuma, for Lake Kachuma, everything you need for our channel, and most things you would use for chasing long-range fish, whether it's Long Beach or San Diego, chasing on those day and a half to 18-day trips, where generally you're targeting big pelagics. So yeah, that is our goal. We try and support as much as possible Sierra anglers, but that's when you get into fly fishing and all the various lures that you need for all the possibilities in the Sierras, it becomes too much for 600 square feet to hold.
I want to tell you, first of all, you do a fabulous job of covering the bases on, just like you said, hey, how to fish Kachuma, this is it, I've got this is the gear. And the same thing, you know, if you're fishing offshore, especially right here, it's here. And that's a lot of choices. But the thing is, if you go into Walmart, you'll see 1,000 square feet of tackle, and probably 30 feet of it's relevant.
Works.
You know, works. I remember there was another national organization that had a boat supply place here in town, and I was having dinner with the guys, and the guy goes, the area manager said, hey, you know, how do you like, you know, well, yeah, it's great working with you guys. He goes, do you see our ad? You know, we're selling fishing tackle now. I said, yeah, the problem is, I've probably told you this before, we're advertising cast nets, throw nets, which are illegal south of Point Conception. And it's like, you know, you really can't, you know, you need to do a better job. You can't have the guy in, you know, in New York City writing your ad copy. And, or I don't know where Walmart, somewhere in Alabama.
I think. Arkansas, I think it is. But
one of them states. But anyhow, you do a good job. It's tuned.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We do want to help local anglers be successful. So it's definitely a lot of connection and discussions back and forth with local folks, what they're doing, how they're doing, how are they successful, and then moving that information along to newcomers and longtime fishermen alike. As we all know, fish have tails, so they move around. So it's important to be aware of the conditions and understand what those conditions mean for the fish.
And you fish different conditions differently too.
Absolutely, yeah. Recently, it was probably 3 weeks ago, right before the second cancellation or postponement of the tournament, the lake dropped 3 feet, and the bass, the Kachuma, and the bass had gotten to a certain stage in their spawning, and that 3 foot drop caused them to change their behavior, and so we were aware of that and understood what those changes meant and could help fishermen understand also where to fish and
point them in the right direction.
Yeah, and help them be successful.
If somebody is new to fishing, is this a good place to come in and start?
It is, yeah. So my daughter does a great job, and I understand when people are brand new that there's a lot out there that can be intimidating, and both she and I work as hard as we can to make it simple for the layman. So
that was the thing that it further impressed me. The selection is number one, but number two is I've been in the shop with people coming through, and it's kind of like, okay, there are 4 people there, and you're taking your time with this guy, and the reason is it took some explaining, and again, not talking down to somebody, but hey, it might work better if you got a good handle on it.
Yeah, and it's, from my perspective as a business owner, if I can help on that very first time out make them successful, then that's somebody that's going to come back, trust me, and come back to me for future products, knowledge, opinions, any of those types of things. So yeah, it's important. We do as much as we can to make sure that the information is relevant, current, and put the information out there that this is as best as we can do. It's still the ultimate experience is getting out there and trying fishing. Trying it yourself and learn a little bit, but try and give them that background. So when I'm just going to pick on surf fishermen, when they see 30 yards down the beach a bunch of birds crashing, what does that mean? Yeah, go down there and fish. Let's see what happens.
Something's pushing the bait up to the surface. That's why the birds are there, but there's also something under. Yeah, exactly. And that's a good information that's really important. Yeah. So you're talking a little bit, we talked about conditions, and conditions haven't been the best. And you're doing a high school fishing tournament, right? Yeah. We're trying to do a high school fishing tournament.
Let's knock on wood on that one.
Knock on wood, Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. My opinion, kids are the key for fishing in general. The next generation needs to understand the history and continue to progress it forward. So as much as possible, it's a priority for me to get as many kids involved in a fun way, which is part and parcel to why we postponed the tournament. The first weekend we got 4 inches of rain, the second weekend 1.5 inches. It doesn't seem like much fun catching fish in 1.5 inches of rain. So why do I do it? I am convinced that kids are the next generation that's going to help move things forward and keep access for everything. So as much as possible, I want to make it a good, fun, engaged environment to get them competitive. Yeah. I would love, my ultimate goal is to get a perpetual trophy that moves across the county, the southern Santa Barbara County, whether it's Dunn or Carpinteria, DP, whomever it is, that there's a perpetual trophy that
jumps from school to school.
Like the Stanley Cup.
How many, good analogy, how many schools have you got in it right now?
We've got 5 schools plus a homeschooler, so I'm going to call it 6.
Okay.
because homeschool is still a kid that's going to be
Yeah.
engaged in fishing, and although they may not have an actual brand name, DP, Carpinteria, whatever, it's still a high school opportunity. So I'm really pleased. We've gone from 2 high schools to 3 high schools to now 6. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome. Okay.
yeah.
Homeschooler get the Stanley Cup?
He got 3rd place last time, so we'll see.
You gotta be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, exactly.
So, no, it's really great. You've got all these different high schools there and kids, and you know, I always think, you know, there's more to the outdoors than simply watching Discovery Channel with the window open.
Oh yeah.
You know, and what this does do is get kids out. It gives them something to focus on. It's like, okay, fine, there are rules in the tournament. I've got to do it this
Yeah.
to perform well, and it gets that motivation on this day. I've got to be out.
Yep.
So, the tournament's coming up. When's it coming?
Yeah, it's coming up this coming weekend. So
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday, the 27th and 28th. It starts at 6 a.m. Saturday morning.
Okay.
Wraps up 6 p.m. Sunday evening.
Okay.
It's a photo-based tournament, so you do not need to take your catch home. You can catch it, photo release, the old CPR
Yep.
moniker, and all photos have to be in by 8 p.m. Sunday in order to count towards whichever category they're part of.
Very cool. Very cool. We little personal plug in here. We've got the South Coast Habitat Restoration Surf Fishing Tournament coming up in 2 weeks on May 4th.
Yeah.
Down at the City Market in your neck of the woods down
Yep.
there in Carp.
Yep.
And we've invited all the kids that are fishing in this high school tournament, be our guest and fish. You know, I'm absolutely in total agreement with you about getting kids out and getting them interested
Yeah.
and getting them going out there.
Yeah. Well, it's been interesting. There's been a lot of email correspondence as I've had to postpone these. And consistently there's been a theme of, well, that just means 3 weekends in a row, because as most people know, the Neil Taylor Center put on the Kachuma Derby this past weekend. We've got the high school tournament this weekend, and then your tournament the following weekend. So lots of them are looking forward to 3 weekends of fishing.
And I think getting back to the real focus on this is about getting kids out fishing
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah, our outdoor environment is so spectacular. The channel is great. Kachuma is beautiful. All the San Ynez River is fantastic. So just being in the outdoors was always my respite. So catching a fish was just gravy on top of.
and
A
if
great
you
getaway.
get going into the back country, there's actually some really good fly fishing back
there's
there.
yeah.
You know, one of the things we used to do along with the No Motor tournament, one of the other tournaments we run the surf, we used to work with Eric, Artful Angler down there on,
Yeah.
on Santa Claus Lane.
Yep.
And he would fly fish the surf.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, everybody goes, fly fishing, it's kind of like that's artsy crafty. It's like, no, he'd catch more fish than anybody.
Yeah.
He was really, really good.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting that so many people go, oh, well, I'm not up for surf fishing. There's some decent fish caught right there in the surf.
Absolutely. Yeah, interestingly, the Corbina never left us this year.
Yeah.
There were big Corbina all year long. December, January, we saw them caught, which is unusual. And they're fantastic fun fish to catch. Halibut, white sea bass, striped bass, all available just right at our doorstep.
Right there.
Yeah.
And if you're going down, how much gear do you need if you're surf fishing down there?
A rod, a reel, 4 lures,
Yeah.
pair of forceps with
Yep.
some cutters on them. Good to go.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty minimal.
Could you set somebody up and point them in the right direction if they're looking to do something like this?
Yeah, and we've got some ready-made outfits that are probably $100. The lures and the license, you would need a license.
Yeah.
And we're sticklers for that. So rod, reel, lures, license, you're probably out the door for $220 for a lifetime of fun.
Yeah, this is not for a Saturday's entertainment.
Right.
This will last you a long, long, long time.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Do you ever get a chance to get out and go fishing?
I do, yeah, not as much as I would like. When I drew up the plan to purchase the shop, It included a lot more fishing days, but hasn't turned out that way so far. But we'll get there.
I probably told you the story before. I started working at United Anglo Southern California back in the 90s. And first week on the job, I was going out to lunch with one of the board members, insurance salesman Alan. He's going, hey, welcome. Great to have you on. We're looking at this. This is good. I said, yeah, it's good. I said, I really love it. I go fishing all the time. And he looks at me and goes, no.
Not anymore.
He goes, no. I said, Al, you don't understand. I said, I fish once a week. He goes, Tom, you don't understand.
Yeah.
And so I empathize with you, and
Yeah.
I understand that it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Mark Wish, Pacific Edge tackle, legend. He's really good. The reason is he's really good is he takes one day a week off,
Yeah.
and it's religious, and he does a lot of media. And he has to take that day off, so
Yeah.
he is absolutely relevant with the media.
Yeah.
It's not just all the stories that comes in; it's
Yeah.
stuff back behind it. So I always gave him a lot of credit for that. Except fishing with him was terrible. It was work. It's like, no man,
Yeah.
I'm out here fishing. He goes,
Yeah.
oh, this is work. So
Yeah.
It's like, okay, go for it.
We got a lot of pushback when we closed the shop on Monday, but that is our day. The intention is it's our day to go fishing.
Yeah.
My boat has had some issues, so there's been some impediments, self-induced and otherwise. But yeah, but that is our intention to get up to the lake and see what the latest lake conditions are and actually experience it. There's no better way to exchange that information than from personal experience. Despite all the great information we get from our customers, plus it's fun for me.
Yeah, you have to do it. You have to do it. But the great thing about hook, line, and sinker, it's an institution. It's been there.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I go back since Shin was there, and you have an array of people that come through there that are really good fishermen.
Oh, really good sticks.
I keep thinking of Mike Doring, coming
Yeah.
through, and he's one of the best pure fishermen I've ever met. I mean,
Yep.
he's just real. When he goes after something, it's linear. It's like
Yeah.
I'm,
There's no distractions. If he's chasing red ear, he is chasing red ear.
That's it.
And he's gonna, even if he would prefer to get skunked, chasing red ear all day and learn whatever he learns, than to opt out of chasing red ear and go catch a backup fish, a crappie or a catfish or a bass or whatever.
He's just really, really good.
Yeah.
And that goes from red ear panfish in Kachuma to threshers offshore.
Absolutely.
So I mean, he's just really, really good.
Yep.
And
we're seeing some. It's cool because we're seeing some young, mid-20 kids that are, and even younger, that are equally committed and capable. You mentioned Mike Doring. What I like about him is the breadth of his knowledge and experience. Everything from small panfish to large pelagics.
Pelagics, yeah.
And we've got some young kids that are in that same boat where they understand the shore surf fishing type of environment, the pier fishing. They hop up to Kachuma and down to Casitas and they chase small and large fish in the freshwater. So it's really nice to see that next generation taking that same approach of understanding and focusing on a species for let's say a 3-hour time window that they've got.
Yep.
And I'm going to catch bluegill.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
Bass doesn't matter. Catfish, nope, don't care.
That's an array of fish. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that fishing tournament you've got coming up this weekend, and what are they fishing for?
Everything. So it's a unique tournament in terms of the approach is not species specific and it's not size specific. Everything that is submitted must be legal size.
Okay.
And the Sportfishing Conservancy was gracious enough to give us measuring tools so that every fisherman has the ability to measure and make sure that it's a legally eligible fish. The idea is to maximize species count. So we've got 3 categories: an individual category, a team category for most species, so just across the board, how many species did this team, this high school, catch? Then the other one is species per angler. The reason for that, and I'm going to put a shout out here for Nate Harmony. He's done a great job cultivating a high school fishing club at Dos Pueblos, and he's probably got 30 plus kids engaged on a weekly basis, showing up to get whatever information can be transmitted.
Noon, I'm going to interrupt here. It's noon on Monday. It's lunchtime. He asked me to come in and talk to the class one time. I go in there, and I'm waiting for 4 or 5 kids to show up, and there are 30, 35 kids in there, girls and boys.
Yes.
And even with me talking, they're attentive, and their questions like, well, how does that work?
Right.
They're really good.
Really
Nate
good.
has done a spectacular job.
Fantastic job.
A really, really good job there.
So as I looked at the tournament, it didn't make sense to penalize, wrong word, but to jeopardize a victory for a school like, let's say, Carpinteria, that might have 2 or 3 anglers. It seemed awfully unlikely that a group of 30 wouldn't outfish a group of 2 or 3. So that's the species per angler. 2 really good sticks from Carpinteria could, and I would submit probably would, outfish on a species per angler basis a group like 30 from Dos Pueblos.
But, just checking, it's not the 30 that show up in the classroom, it's the number that sign up in the tournament.
Whomever signs up.
Okay, fine. I just kind of even that thing out a little bit.
But the pool is significantly larger.
I think it's a great way to get a lot of kids engaged, and also it shows them the different, it's like, hey, that was really fun. I didn't know I could catch fish in the surf. It's like, hey, I got 4 different species there. This put me in the money.
Right. So. Or pier fishing. That's the other. The angler that has won the previous 2 tournaments took a very smart approach, and I commend he and his cohorts that put this together. They fish freshwater one day, they fish saltwater the second day, and whichever one fits in the schedule, but they don't overlook any species. So lizardfish on a sabiki from a pier is a species. Multiple, 2 or 3 surf perch from the pier, croaker, whatever.
Rubber lip, right down the line.
You can, if you really, people think in terms of, I want to catch a glamour species, a halibut, a white sea bass, whatever. But there are different opportunities, different techniques, different equipment, different approaches that are the smart money for this tournament.
That sabiki rig on the pier is probably king.
It's very valuable.
Yeah, very, very
Smelt
bad.
Mackerel, anchovy, sardine, lizardfish, maybe a sand dab.
Yeah, that's crazy cool,
Yep.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So, this is the 3rd time you run this?
Correct.
Cool. Yeah. You plan on doing it in the fall again, you think?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I like the fact that we doubled the high school count.
Yep.
And this will, I hope it becomes perpetuating. And you and I have spoken about this. I'm taking the long view. I'm looking at a 4-year window to get this to where the vision and the reality can marry up.
I think I told you the Sportfishing Conservancy is behind you 100%.
Yeah, and we appreciate that.
And we want to be there all the way down the line to make. We want to see you be successful putting this together.
Yeah.
So you've got a prime location that sits there that's close enough to the coast. Where is your shop located?
So it's at the corner. Thank you, I appreciate that. It's where Highway 154, 101, and State Street come together. So as you are coming north on the 101, if you exit for State Street and go straight through the lights, the High Time Liquor is our neighbor. So you would pull into the High Time Liquor parking lot, and we're 2 doors down.
And there's good parking there.
Easy parking all the time, absolutely. So coming south from Goleta, it's a little bit more challenging, but it's a whole lot closer than Eric's.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got a full range. Do you carry any bait there at all?
We do. Yeah, we've got frozen and live bait. We try and keep everything that is listed on our menu, available at all times, and so far we've done a good job. So kudos to our bait suppliers for keeping us in that. So it's pretty much everything you could choose to use, and even if you wanted to specialize, an example of that, sheephead really like shrimp, so we keep shrimp in stock, mussels, clams, things like that.
If you've got a high school student that's thinking about getting in this, is it an unfair advantage for you to give them tips on Friday afternoon?
No, it is not.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
And if they haven't signed up, they can sign up, they can get the wristband and get some information, a little latest intel, all at the same time.
So it's not only signing up, not only getting the implements, but also getting pointed in the right direction.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And again, like I said, I've been impressed with the array of tackle that you've got in the shop, and again, knowledgeable people behind it, which is really it's a deciding difference between a Walmart and, it's like, I might be able to get that little, well, probably not. First of all, you look at the brand, you look at the quality of stuff, but you've got high quality stuff there, and then most importantly, the important thing about fishing is information. So I want to put a little bit of a plug in for the South Coast Habitat Restoration. We've got that tournament come up on May 4th. City Market for a change. We've been at Danny's Deli for
millennia, I think.
15 years anyhow. And Danny has kind of shined on the deli, and City Market has come to the table and said, hey, look, great, be here. So we're down there at 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. Come on by. It's a chance to get in. You've got a chance to win a Bass Pro kayak. We're giving away, and we've got a great relationship with Bass Pro shops. They do a good job, but the folks out in Rancho Cucamonga, they do conservation really well on a national scale.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're about, is making sure that we've got good conservation. 3 tournaments we do are, South Coast Habitat Restoration, Gaviota Coast Conservancy, and Santa Barbara Land Trust. It's all about quality habitat, so we can keep those kids out there fishing for a long time.
Habitat is so critical. Water quality, habitat, and access. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and we've got to keep working on those same things to make sure that they keep coming through. So
absolutely.
One more time, if someone wants to catch you online.
HLStackle.com.
HLStackle.com.
HLS Tackle, hook, line, sinker, HLStackle.com. Or come on in real life at the corner of 154 and the 101.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear the music coming up. That means that we're getting down towards the end of the show here. Thanks so much for coming. And again, thanks for putting on this tournament and really reaching out to the high schools and getting those kids. It's really important to get them out off the couch and getting their hands and feet wet.
Yeah, get some water in the gills.
Amen. Amen.
Appreciate the forum to share that too. Yeah.
Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Michael's a little long.
You've got to be a crazy man if this is the life you choose. Want to be a fisherman and wear me father's shoes. You've got to be a crazy man if this is the life you choose. Is this the life you choose? Oh, this is the life I choose.